We're going live.
All right.
All right. I would like to welcome Lindsay Eastwood. I think it's kind of fitting that you're the first guest I've ever had on my new show. And also you scored the first goal for the Toronto Six franchise. You're one of the first clients I ever had that plays in the NWHL or PHF right now, Premier Hockey Federation. And you've become a great friend, a great client, and I've gotten to know your dad. So I appreciate you being here, Lindsay. A little bit about Lindsay. So you played for Team Canada in 2015, I believe, and then went to Syracuse, played a Division I hockey, went through some health issues. You had some health issues, autoimmune, which I as well suffer from. So definitely know what that's about. And then you signed your first pro contract in 2020 with the Toronto Six. So Lindsay, welcome today. I'm happy to have you here. And why don't you just kind of tell us, a little bit about coming up and your story, and let us get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trapper. I'm honored to be your first guest. This is awesome. This is great. So I've been playing hockey since I was, I guess, 6 years old on a team, but I always say I've been skating ever since I could walk. I used to wear the double-bladed runners when I was like 2 years old.
Yeah.
So, but I actually didn't want to play hockey. My dad asked me if I wanted to play hockey like my 4 or 5 year old year, and I was like, no, I want to be a figure skater and wear the white skates. And thank goodness.
And your dad played hockey, is that right? Dave played hockey?
Yeah, my dad played hockey in the Ottawa area. He played junior A in the Ottawa Valley, and then my uncle, he played in the NHL and for 13 years. And then my older brother played hockey, so it was bound to happen. Eventually, I was going to play hockey, and
it was in the family.
Yeah, it was. I think my dad was a little crushed that time when I told him I don't want to play, but a year later, he asked me again, and I was like, yeah, I'll play now. So I already knew how to skate and whatnot. So it was just a matter of getting on the ice with the other players. And so I started playing on a team when I was 6 years old. And thank goodness I didn't go the finger skating route. Not very graceful. I'm 6 foot, so wouldn't have been too graceful out there. But yeah, I grew up in Ottawa, played in Ottawa. I played a little boys hockey, some girls hockey, played junior for 4 years in Ottawa and in Nepean. And then I went to Syracuse University. And yeah, like you mentioned, do you want me to dive into my health scare there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be really good to hear about that.
Yeah, so I had just come off of playing for Team Canada under 18s Worlds. I also played for Team Ontario at Canada Winter Games in my grade 12 year. It was like career high. I couldn't have been like, I was on cloud nine, like couldn't have been more pumped. Like now it's a new chapter of life. I'm going to school. And a week before I go ziplining, my friends takes me ziplining. It's like a farewell tour before I go off to school, moving away. And next day I wake up and I have that pain in my ribs, and I'm like, oh, I must have pulled something like hanging from the trees and stuff. And I'd never done that before. So it was like a weird movement. And then it just gradually got worse. I started not being able to breathe. I'm like, what is going on here? So I was going to physio and I was getting massages, trying to figure out what was up. Went to the doctor. She was like, yeah, pulled muscle. I was like, can I work out? Like I have fitness testing next week. Like I want to perform. Yeah,
when
no
can
problem.
I get back?
Yeah, you can work out, no problem. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can breathe, I guess. I'm winded walking up the stairs or walking to the bathroom. So it's rather scary. And then I went to the emergency room, painted the same picture. They sent me on my way, gave me some pain meds. And then finally, like I started getting a fever and like I was sweating and things were taking a turn for the worse. So we're like, my physio was also my aunt. She was like, Lindsay, this is more than a pulled muscle. Like you got to go to the hospital. So we got in the car, we went to the emergency room, and they finally ran the proper tests, and they found that I had 2 large blood clots in my lungs that was causing me the discomfort and not being able to breathe. And they put me on blood thinners. I had a blood specialist doctor taking care of me, and I was already instantly feeling better after I was on the thinners. And
Right.
So I went to school a little late. I was about a week late after all my friends were there a little earlier and missed a few things, but my health obviously came first. And I was determined 3 months. They said 3 to 6 months. We want to get rid of the clots. You'll be on blood thinners. So I was thinking, okay, I'll be off the ice for 3 to 6 months. Obviously, hockey's a contact sport. You got blades on your feet. If I get cut, it could cause some severe bleeding, or if I hit my head, internal bleeding. And so it's pretty scary.
This was your first year, eh?
Yeah. I was brand new to the school. So so I never got on the ice there. And 3 months go by, I'm determined. I'm like, I'm getting out there. I was allowed to go on the ice alone. No one else, no pucks. So I was like bag skating myself for a couple months because I was like, I don't want a red shirt. Like, I don't want to fall a step behind. Like, I want to play this year. And then they ran some tests and found out I had this autoimmune condition that caused blood clotting. And the doctor told me that I'll have to be on blood thinners for likely the rest of my life. And I was like, beside myself. I knew, like, the one thing, my whole identity at this point is hockey, and it's just stripped from me. I got medically disqualified from Syracuse, and so I was, what am I going to do now? I'm not ready to not be an athlete. So I took up rowing because it's a non-contact sport. I'm tall. It's a late entry sport. I'm already athletic. So I was on the rowing team at Syracuse for a semester.
Oh, no kidding. And so you could still row, even though, like, it's pretty hard on your lungs. Like, it's still a heavy cardio.
Yeah, the lungs weren't really the issue. It was more like the blood thinners.
Okay.
Making sure I don't cut myself or, get any internal bleeding or something like that.
Yeah.
So, so I was on the rowing team for a semester. I went home, and Syracuse asked that I do my annual checkup, my blood results and stuff, get blood work done. And so I told my doctor, and he's like, Lindsay, it's not going to change. It's less than like a 2.5% chance that your blood will go back to normal. Like, we don't know why it went like this, but it's just, and I was like, you know what? I know. I'd finally come to terms with it. Like, I was kind of feeling at peace with it. And finally, my blood results reversed itself, like, miraculously. So
at that point, did you didn't think you'd be playing hockey again? You thought that was it?
I thought it was done. I thought I was pursuing a rowing career from there on. And so then I called Paul Flanagan, the coach at Syracuse, is the first guy I called, and he's like, get back on the ice right now. And I hit the ice running or skating, I guess, and got a whole 4 years there, and now I'm playing pro.
And you went captain for them, right? And led them to you did win a championship?
Yeah. I was assistant captain for 1 year and captain for 2 years, and we won the championship, our conference championship, the CHAs, in 2019 for the first time ever.
Crazy. And so you never did have to redshirt?
I did redshirt that first year. I got that.
Did you?
Back. Yeah. Okay. But honestly, in hindsight, it was the best thing for me.
Yeah. And so what did you like, and have you had any health stuff since then? Like, they've kind of managed your blood clots and all of that now through being on blood thinners?
Yeah, I got to go off the thinners. Really is what that reversing of the condition.
Oh, wow.
I got to go off the blood thinners, and so I haven't been on blood thinners. I take a baby aspirin every day just for like a little shield of protection. It doesn't really do like as much as a blood thinner, obviously, but it's a little bit of protection. But otherwise, I haven't done a blood test since. Maybe when I'm done playing hockey, I'll check again. But ignorance is bliss for the time. Obviously, your health comes first, but no one's told me I had to. I've had to. So
good. So as someone that's gone through health issues myself, what do you think it was the biggest lesson you took from that, and being able to overcome that and play hockey?
That was the first time I'd ever faced adversity. I had all my life, I had maybe been cut from, a team or two here and there, but I'd never been dealt with. And I broke my pinky in grade 5. Like, I'd never been dealt with an injury or, something like serious like this before. So it was eye-opening for me. But I think the biggest thing is like to not put all your eggs in one basket. I know, like, my whole life was hockey, and I really realized there's a lot more to life than just hockey. And I'm glad I picked a school like Syracuse, because I went there for their journalism program. In the school, I loved the school. I didn't just go there to play hockey. If I had just gone there to play hockey, it would have been miserable. I would have came home, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but I had decided I was going to go back. Even if I couldn't play hockey, I was going to finish out my degree there and whatnot. But yeah, just that there's more to life than just hockey. I think I saw myself as Lindsay the hockey player and nothing else, but like I realized I'm a lot more than that. So that was definitely something, and that everything happens for a reason. It's crazy how like in the moment it feels like the worst thing in the world, but down the line it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. As weird as that sounds.
That's cool. And you see that in people that have overcome health issues or health setbacks. The ones that overcome it always see it as an advantage. And then the ones that kind of remain in that victim mindset, it truly holds them back. And so I definitely went through that kind of like depressive state. One, because I chose golf. So my entire plan was to play professional golf for the rest of my life. That was, I actually turned down other sports because of the longevity of golf. So I always identified as a golfer. And when that got stripped from me, it was very difficult, as a lot of athletes experience. So the fact that, and that's one of the things I admire about you, Linz, is you always speak with so much maturity, even at, your age. And the fact that you see that already, even before, and you still have a healthy career ahead of you of playing professional hockey, but the fact you see that so early on is a testament to your maturity and your success as an individual. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so we went from there, turning pro. What did it feel like signing that first pro contract with Toronto?
It's pretty surreal.
Yeah.
I always tell this story. When I was 8 years old, I blew out my birthday candles, and my little cousin asked, "So, what'd you wish for?" And I said, "I'll let you know when I'm 25." And it was to wish. I wish to play in the NHL. I remember this so clearly. To play in the NHL, and now I'm playing. Well, I guess at the time it was the NWHL and the PHF now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool how that all worked out. It's something that I'd always, dreamt of in some capacity. Honestly though, for women's, as a girls hockey player, I grew up wishing to play for the Olympic team, the NHL, or going to university. You never really dream of like a women's league. We didn't really see that. So growing up, so now it's pretty cool. I think that we're growing the game and growing our league, that I think that girls can now be like, I want to play pro. Like that can be on their wish list, that like what they dream of doing, rather than just university and, probably ends there, like it's pretty cool that it's grown this much. And, but yeah, I know it's something that I've always been kind of reaching for. And the fact that I get paid to play hockey is nuts. I'd pay to play in a beer league if I wasn't playing here, so it's pretty cool.
So yeah, let's talk about that, because they've recently raised the salary cap, which I think is tremendous, and they're talking about new expansion teams in the PHF. I mean, women's hockey right now is growing. What do you think a big reason for that is, Linz? Like, is it higher caliber players coming up? What's more exposure?
Yeah, it's well, in my time, in 3 years, I've seen the cap double. Like it's grown, it's raised by 1,000% or 900% or something like that. It's nuts. So it's pretty exciting times on the money side of things. But that's what it has to grow, on that side, in order to make it feel more professional. Like I now can focus. Hockey can be my main job, and I have side hustles, whereas hockey was my side hustle before, and I had a main job. So it's pretty cool on that front. And then you can focus more. You can get in the gym more. You can make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating properly, and stuff like that, and taking care of your body. But I think it's growing. There's people investing in us now. We're getting these major sponsors. They're seeing the potential that our league has, and that these players have. It's gotten better since the league has gotten better since I've started in 2020. I joined the team, so it's getting better. The sport's getting better. There's more eyes on it, which is huge. Like we started on Twitch, which I honestly thought was a great platform for us, but we we moved up. We're now on ESPN Plus. We get a few games on in TSN Direct. We get a few games linear that are on TV sometimes, which is awesome. And next is the main goal to get on all the time, right? And that's the TV deals are what really drive home
Right.
one fan base
The
and the
exposure.
dollars at the end of the day. So
Totally.
if we can get more eyes on our game and get it out there and more people supporting and following, I think we're in good shape. But we're going in the right direction. There's people are really seeing that it's a good investment to invest in women's sports and women's hockey.
Totally. Yeah. And absolutely. I was talking to Zach about that. Like the fact that, you have to have a full-time job. And like you said, hockey was kind of your side hustle, and you're still playing a professional sport, high caliber sport, but doing, having to train and everything outside of a full-time job where, the men obviously get salaries where that's all they do. They train, they play hockey. And so the fact now that it's getting to a point where you have a lot of players in the league that's all they do is just play hockey, I think is only going to raise the caliber of hockey that's being played on the ice as well. And for young up and coming girls, it's like, hey, you know what? I want to be the next Lindsay Eastwood, and I want to be the next, in women's hockey. So I think that's super cool for the sport as well.
Totally. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what do you think, Linz? You've been playing hockey a long time now, which is crazy to think when you're in your mid-20s, and you've been playing for almost 20 years. What is it that kind of motivates you every day to get up, get on the ice, train, which was the worst part. I hated training. I liked practicing, but the training side of it was never. What motivates you kind of on that daily basis?
Yeah, I think, and you'd understand this, is I'm a competitor. I'm very competitive. I obviously want to be the best, and I want my team to be the best. So that's a big motivator. It's just, waking up and knowing it's going to make me better or whatnot. Cause I'm not a practice gal. I like games. I'm a gamer. I don't like to practice either, but I understand it's got to happen. That's what makes you better. Right. So just, wanting to be better. And then also like on the other side of things, like when we have community events and if we, after games, it's an extra 20 minutes, we go and sit and do autographs. Like sometimes you just want to get in the shower and go see your family and and go get a bite to eat, but that's the important part right there. And what that makes me, that's for the next generation to, inspire them, get out in the community. That's what's really going to grow the game at the end of the day. Is that kind of stuff, interacting with fans, interacting with young girls and so on. So that's, and one time one little girl saw that I like Kit Kats, and she comes and brings me a Kit Kat. And I thought that was just the cutest thing. And, it just is some of their signs, they say how we inspire them. And it's so touching, you realize, okay, we are helping out here. We are helping grow the game. So things like that are definitely what motivate me as well as the next generation. That's cool.
That's cool to hear you say that, because one of the downfalls of me, I will criticize myself as an athlete. I was really selfish. I was solely doing it. Like I was so focused, hyper focused on my goals, what I was doing. I never really had that vision of it being bigger. And now being out of sport and working with athletes, that's my entire vision, is how do I help athletes get better, not only on the ice, but obviously with their financial situation, with their life after sport transition, all of that. And I think when you make that, like, you realize it's bigger than you, bigger than your sport, that's a huge, I think, motivator, like you said, when you make it bigger than about yourself, that's the biggest purpose I think anyone can have. So that's cool. So what would be some advice to an up and coming young girl wanting to play professional hockey?
It sounds cheesy, but don't give up on your dreams. If you got a goal in mind or a dream, like, keep pushing. Sometimes it's going to feel daunting, and it might you might feel unachievable, but if you work hard at it and you put everything you can into it and do all you can, one day it'll work out for you in one way or another. So never give up.
And okay, working hard, because that's pretty cliche. What should a girl be focused on that wants to make it a career, wants to be playing professional hockey? Like, what's her day look like? What should she really be working hard at?
Yeah, well, I know I help coach. I do some coaching with some younger girls that are like 12 and younger. And I think a big thing for that age group is, okay, you work hard on the ice during the hockey season. And then in the summer, I think going and playing another sport. I know that sounds silly, but I think it's so important that they get, they build their athleticism rather than just hockey skills.
Yeah.
Hockey will be there in the fall, and you'll get back on it, and you're not going to miss a step. You're going to probably be better for it. The kids aren't going to hate the game by the end of the day. Like if you want to do a camp here and there in the summer, totally. I respect that. And I think that's great. But I think an important thing is playing other sports in that regard. But then as you get older, you got to put in the work. I know in high school, I missed out. I don't really think I had a regular high school experience. I had games on the weekends. I was in Toronto from going up the 401 every other weekend. And I miss those parties. I didn't go I didn't go to all the parties or whatever. And, I missed a lot of hanging out with my friends. They had to make a lot of sacrifice. And I wouldn't at times, my teammates those were my best friends. And you kind of, you have fun doing other things. And, but yeah, I think you got to make that sacrifice at a certain point. Pick your sport. In high school, pick your sport and dial it in. You got to do the training. You got to think about your eating. That's one thing like I didn't really focus on until university is how I was like feeding myself and what I was putting into my nutrients and whatnot. So like that's super important, and making sure you're getting to sleep. Turning off the phone at a reasonable hour, because sleep is the biggest thing too. So you gotta dial in from top to bottom and make a few sacrifices.
Yeah, success. Any type of success always requires sacrifice, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter at what level, if it's sport, if it's, a successful marriage, successful being a parent or relationship or anything. Like it all requires you to sacrifice something in order to achieve a certain level of success. It's interesting that, so what stood out is you encouraging them to play other sports, because when you look at sport now, like it's evolved so much that you're having 3-year-olds starting and they're literally being groomed to be a professional athlete. So by the time they turn 18, 19, they've already been playing for almost 2 decades, which is crazy. And you can't just play hockey in the winter. You got to have your camps and year round almost to be successful. So it's cool to hear you say that they should play other sports, especially early on, not only for the motor skill development, but also I think, just the balance. I mean, it's great to be obsessed and have goals and follow them, but I think having that balance is well. And I'm glad you touched on that. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an issue I see often too is burnout in these young kids. They're going 12 months a year in their skates. And like, even myself, after the season's over, I take a good 2 months before I get back on my skates. Granted, we have a long off season, so it's like we play, our last game's end of March and we don't play until November. So I can take that long rest, but I think it's important, take the rest. You want to still love the game. You need a break from it. And you want to like look forward to going to the rink. You don't want to have to dread it.
Totally.
Giving yourself a break is important.
Yeah. Yeah. So touching on a couple of things I want to touch on before we wrap up here, Lynn. So you scored the inaugural goal for the Toronto Six, the very first franchise ever goal. The puck, I believe, it's at Hockey Hall of Fame. Is that right? You actually donated it there?
It is. Yeah.
Talk about that. How big of a deal that was for you and getting that first goal?
Well, in the moment, I'll tell you, we were just pumped that we got on the board. I was just super
Yeah.
excited to
Number
score.
one, we're leading the game, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, we got on the boards, and it was a couple games in. So, yeah, I honestly didn't think anything of it. I was just pumped. I know they made a rule. We weren't allowed to celebrate with our teammates, and so we were all like, "No, we're celebrating." So we all hugged and whatever. And then after the game, I'm looking at my phone, and one of the girls goes, "Oh, this is such a cute photo." And I like pull out my phone, and my phone is just blowing up. I'm like, "What is going on here?" And then I realized like how big of a deal it was to score the first goal. I had no idea. And I was getting interviews, I was getting congratulated by some pretty cool people and stuff. So it was pretty wild. And so then, I didn't realize, but then a couple of years later, I get a DM this summer and on Instagram, and someone was asking, the Hockey Hall of Fame would love your puck if you would like to donate it, and if you have a stick or anything too. So I donated my stick that I scored with and the puck. And I'll tell you, I never could imagine having anything in the Hockey Hall of Fame. That's not something that ever crossed my mind. So that's pretty cool. And I think it's pretty cool for the game that, they're preserving our history, and people, this is in the history books now for our team and for our league forever, and no one can take it away from us.
Totally. Yeah. And I think having that legacy, something to leave behind, right? That you're going to be remembered for, I think is super cool. I remember sending you a couple of texts during that goal as well. It was a huge deal. Your dad was fired up, and I think that's awesome to have that kind of, and the fact that you donated it to Hall of Fame was huge. So what's next for Lindsay Eastwood? I know congratulations on with Sportsnet, right? You just signed on with them. You have future ambition to be a broadcaster, is that right?
Yeah, that's hopefully my post hockey career. I would love to be, the dream is to be a sports broadcaster, and so I just started a couple weeks ago there with Sportsnet as a freelance associate producer. So getting my feet wet and seeing what it's all about in the TV side of things.
That's cool. That's very cool. And what about playing? Like, is your career, you gonna keep it with Toronto? Like, you want to start and finish your career with Toronto? How many years left do you want to play? What's next for hockey for you?
Well, I'm not ready to hang them up yet. I would like
you're only in your mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
Too young to retire.
So, I still got I think this is the prime, right? So yeah, I'm not ready to hang them up yet. It's year by year basis, see what's going on, and the league's growing. So I don't want to step away now, and things are getting good, and it's getting interesting, and I feel like I can still, as long as I can still compete. Obviously, I want to keep playing, but year by year basis, take it a year by year at a time. But I think every athlete would like to stay with the same team for their career. I'm Canadian. I'm from 4 hours down the road. I've kind of made Toronto home these days, and but yeah, you never know what could happen. As now that the league's growing, they could do trades coming up here. Who knows?
That's cool. Yeah.
I think every athlete would like to stay with the team they start with, and I've made a home here, but yeah.
All right. So let's say you sign your first $1 million contract, $1 million to play professional hockey. What's the first thing you buy?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, Trapper, I think I'd have to sit down with you, and we'd have to talk about it.
Smart girl. There we go. I like it. So on touching on that, the financial side, you have you have a great portfolio. You've been very smart with your money and the money you've made in sport and outside of it. But you have and again, this is a testament to your maturity. You have a very long-term vision where a lot of athletes lose sight of having a long-term. And so when it comes to your finances, I admire you that you have that truly a long-term vision and you're on track for that. What do you think, Linds, has really allowed you to focus on that and not look at the kind of immediate, that we're so accustomed to having instant gratification, have it now, but really put money away and focus on your long-term goals. What allows you to do that with your finances?
Yeah, well, obviously it'd be nice to have a couple extra bucks in the bank account each month, but I think you gotta invest in your future and look out for the future. And my parents, they both had government jobs, so they had great pensions and stuff like that. And that's not something that I will ever have, really. I'm in the private sector, so I got to take care of that myself. And that's why I'm working with you to help me, prepare for that. And I want to retire early, and I don't. The goal is to retire as early as possible and have a good life after in retirement and stuff. But work hard in the time being, obviously. But yeah, you've really set me up and put me in a good position. I honestly wouldn't know how to do any of this stuff if I believe you reached out to me and fixed me up. So obviously thankful for you. We do some check-ins, and when things are good, we put a little more money into it, and where to put it. So I think it's a testament. I think I give credit to you a lot of that.
Well, I appreciate that for sure. And that's my mission, is to work with athletes. But so you mentioned retirement, and a lot of people will get like kind of, oh, I'm never going to retire. I always want to, but I mean, the real word is financial freedom, where we get to choose, what we spend our time on and not have to worry about money. So tell me, Linds, what was financial freedom or retirement look like for you?
Yeah, like when I can, step away. Well, you know what? Right now in my new job, I feel like it's not a job. I feel like it's fun. And that's what you want in a job, right? Like you want to enjoy it that much that it doesn't feel like you're going to work. But eventually financial freedom might be like, as I can do things that I don't have to worry about money. I can, even if that is, I'm still getting a couple bucks. Like if I'm a broadcaster and they don't pay as much doing this sport or doing, whatever I'm doing there, and I'm just doing things that I can enjoy, and not have to worry about the money.
Yeah, I love it. Exactly. And for me, it's the same. I love what I do. I'll always do what I do. But I'd love to be in a position where I just donate my time, and I work with athletes 100% on a free basis, where I'm donating my time and my expertise. That's my goal. That's my where I don't need any financial compensation for that and my time, and it's just donating it all back to sport. I think sport has given me everything I've achieved in life because of sport. So being able to give back to the athletes and the sport is 100% my mission.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. That's a good way to put it.
Awesome, Linds. Well, I appreciate your time this morning. I have a huge amount of respect for you and your accomplishments on the ice, but what you're doing off the ice, I think as a mentor, as an ambassador for women's hockey and up and coming girls. And I know you do a ton of coaching. And so I really appreciate your time and being on the call with us today. And hopefully our viewers got some great value from it and some tangibles on having a career in hockey. So I wish you all the best wrapping up your season. I know I watched just about all of your games, and we'll have to make sure we tee it up this summer when you're out here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much. It was great chatting with you, Trapper. And yeah, we'll hit the links this summer when I'm out west.
Okay, sounds good, Linz. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.